Welcome to the AirCon Vault. Here you can find recordings of the live streams from Airwiggle's audio conference. These are made free thanks to our sponsors: A Sound Effect, Aftertouch Audio, Boom Library, FMod, Game Audio Learning, Game SoundCon, Kilohertz, Rev Rooms, Soundcuts, Strata from Audio Kinetic, and Airwiggles, the online home for audio people. We hope you enjoy the video.
Welcome to AirCon25, Goblins of Game Audio. And now, your host, Ulysses at Sea.
Hey, yo. What it do, everyone? Okay, so I also have my own intro. I'm going to say, greetings and welcome, all manners of multi-celled organisms, single-celled organisms, please see the door. Get out of here. We don't want you. This is the Goblins of Game Audio panel reporting live from this nondescript cave location. We are your representative goblins for this session. My name is Ulysses, the blue-tongued skank at sea. I am joined by the excellent company of Eli, certified hater Forster, Angela, will punch and kick Geiss, Troupe, out on parole Gammage, and John, Mango, Strawberry, Forklift, Kelliher. What's good, everyone? That's like a direct question. How are you actually doing?
Doing great. Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah, really good.
I love it. Okay, allow me to go on script for a bit. Wait, no, actually, can you guys give like a short intro, who you are, what you do, where you work maybe? That's some relevant info, right? Troupe?
Sure. Do we have the same order here? Is it you at the top, then me, then John?
I don't think so, but I'll just call you guys out.
Okay, great. My name is Troupe Gammage. I'm a composer, audio director, voice actor, sound designer, probably in that order. And musically, you may know me from Mutant Muds, Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, Solar Ash, Hyperlight Breaker. I was also the audio director on Solar Ash. And you may have heard my voice in Hearthstone, Lord of the Rings Online, Lake. And I live in Lisbon, Portugal, which is not where I'm from. But I'm happy to be here.
Sick. Thank you, Troupe. John, how about you next?
Hi, folks. I'm John Kelliher, and I'm a generalist audio designer and composer and music maker and game developer and programmer and all of the above, just generalist through and through. I've been on Airwiggles for a long time, so people probably know me here. And I work at Feel Free Games, currently working on Luma Island. Keep an eye out today for some news about that. I can probably chat about it later. Previously worked on Human Fall Flat 2 and a bunch of other stuff at Supergonk, like Warp Drive and Trailblazers. Super happy to be here. I'm currently in Cardiff in Wales, but I'm half Swedish, half Irish, born in France, raised in Spain. And
incredible. From everywhere, actually. Okay, Eli, how about an intro?
Hello. I'm a sound designer. That's why I'm here. I spent like the last 3 years as a sound designer, mostly as a freelancer or contractor. Worked with iGame Audio for a while. I have actually worked with Ulysses and Troupe before, unfortunately. I started my very first like in-house position like 3 months ago, and I only just passed my probation, so now I can say whatever I want. Yeah, that's basically me.
Well, thank you. Stuck with Eli, which is a good problem to have, like from my personal experience. Angela.
Yo, I'm Angela Geiss. I'm a sound designer. I work at Injected Senses Audio right now, and then previously I was working at NetherRealm, and I do sound design. I'm in Chicago in the US also. Also, I'm really big into Muay Thai, so I love to punch and kick. But at the moment, I'm not punching because I did this to my hand, and that's all about me.
Excellent. Okay, cool. I should probably do a small intro as well. I'm Ulysses at Sea. Born in Zambia, raised in South Africa, audio designer as well. I love me some lizards, Dune, and also punching and kicking things, but through Kobujutsu, Ryukyu Kobujutsu. And yeah, currently freelance. I work with iGame Audio, and most recently, DDD Distortion, based in Japan, working on a game called Nightmare Operator. So yeah, that's me. Allow me to go on script for a bit. I hope you guys are ready for this. As it stands, this is a very out of left field panel because in essence, that is what we are trying to capture. The left field designers and world experiences we have in our space, i.e. the Goblins. You'll find that a lot of us have really straight shots in defining our career, and even more so where we plan on ending up. So this is a space to gather all that out-of-pocket energy and collate it into something that represents audio in all its unconventional ways. Let the scribes forever engrave in the annals of time my boundless love and admiration for these individuals before you. They have graciously given their time, their bodies, their pride, and their eventual shame to be here today. So, what can you expect? Well, first, we aren't specifically here to describe anything as correct. That is paramount, because if you are anyone like us, you will know that despite the torrent of best practices, standards, and everything else between, there is no one way to work with audio. Ergo, we have arrived here at this peculiar point in time through grit, personality, charm, and constantly revised efforts and comprehension. These are simply our feelings, these are our thoughts, and these are our experiences. And we hope that you can learn something, but we do not make any promises. Next. This kind of thing can easily get self-indulgent, so let me affirm that we are in fact working professionals. We do in fact actively participate in the industry, but our ability to be hot and tell jokes doesn't make us the lesser. No. It in fact makes us more powerful beyond recognition. I know these people, and we are equal parts smart, passionate, dumb, hilarious, unfunny, sleepy, and scorned by dark, twisted, and thirsting gods. So, to contradict point one, you will definitely walk away learning something. My final point is a small disclaimer that if we speak strongly about something 9 times out of 10, it's a critique on an idea and not any particular person. For example, we have strong feelings about sound tests, both good and bad, but that doesn't mean that anyone who issues a sound test is evil or the Pope. For clarity, I am legally obligated to state that all such classifications of wrongdoing are pending a verdict from our court-appointed judge, jury, and executioner, of which, until further stated, shall be held by Angela, John and Eli, and then Troupe, respectively. Another final point is that if you have any questions for this panel, please post them, but expect them to be answered after we go offline. I'm running a very tight ship here, as you can see, and the course that I've plotted is mighty fierce. Some might even say dummy thick. We might engage with the chat, but we also might not. We'll generally see how it goes. Then, final note, no, really, seriously, this is the one. Please don't look at me like that. I will cry. Version 13, true final mix. Before we start, we haven't come here to expressly agree with each other, and we won't always have strong opinions on everything. And that's okay. If anything, that is by design. With all of that said, Eli, can I ask you a question?
I love a panel that opens with a disclaimer. We're on a good path. You may ask me a question. Yeah.
Thank you. How much does a polar bear weigh?
At least 10 of me, I would say.
No, enough to break the ice. Come on, Habibi.
I would break the ice, man. Like 10 of me would break the ice. Sure,
but don't undercut my joke. It's my panel. How dare you? Okay, let's move on to these questions. Does anyone want to start? Because I've given my example of what I think a goblin is, generally speaking. But what does being a goblin mean to any of you guys?
So I'll go.
Cool.
To me, a goblin is about being yourself, being genuine. That's always something that in my whole life I've aimed to be just my genuine self, and I feel like it's a goblin, and that's the core of it all. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone want a plus one? How about you, Troupe? What do you think being a goblin is like?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And I feel like we are all people that have maybe charted a more unusual, non-standard course through the industry. Particularly, I think like none of us live in LA or Seattle or London or like the sort of main hubs. I think goblins very often sort of like cast into the darkness, into the caves. But there's a lot of treasure in there, a lot of good stuff, and so I think it's about being able to recognize where the magic and the beauty is outside of the sort of normal, clean, glittering, inhabited realms, and looking for the more uninhabited places.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of opportunity when you embrace your authenticity of self, I find. And yeah, just a +1, all of that. But John or Eli?
Yeah, I can go. I mean, being a goblin, first and foremost, means getting up to hijinks. But also like tinkering away in your like little workshop for gold. I feel like that's what we all do, to be honest. And I have here like being authentically a freak and not caring so much about like what society expects you to be. And this is kind of just like +1ing what the others said. But yeah, just kind of like paving your own path and walking the path less traveled, rather than just kind of doing like how do game audio job. Okay, this is the way to do it, therefore I'll just take like the straightest path. I think like being authentic to yourself and like your own weird sort of passions is definitely the goblin way. And yeah, I think the same also goes for like audio work as well. Like, in audio, we're not just like, oh, well, this is what everybody else is doing. That's just like low mid meta our way through through game audio careers. Yeah, so just doing things and adhering to our own tastes.
Yeah, exactly. Eli, do you want to close us off?
I don't think I could put it as well as everybody else does. But yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. For me, it's sort of like about not taking myself too seriously, kind of having fun while working a lot. Like not being afraid to voice creative opinions, sort of like what John was saying about like maybe taking like a non-mainstream path to get somewhere and take creative risks and stuff. But also like not being afraid to work all week in your pajamas. Like I think that energy is necessary,
Yeah, exactly. In essence, there's no real one way to be a goblin. It's just embracing the fact that I suppose that we're all a bit crazy, or we have our own like eccentricities and how we like exist, and just rolling with it. Someone tells you like, hey, you can't use 12, I don't know, just 2 plugins on a chain every single time. You tell them, no, I can do that because that's my method. I'm gonna dress up as a goblin to go to work. That's gonna be me. Cool. Let's get on to the next one. And yeah, we're still like in the breaking the ice section of this, so I will open up. My funniest audio-related story in my career is that I almost caused a company-wide HR violation by asking everyone at the studio to do an accent that I didn't realize was like very black-coded in the UK. I thought it was just an accent. And yeah, it was very awkward to explain to a room full of UK people that like, I don't understand why you can't do the accent. And they're like, well, it's a bit racist. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair. Anyone have any funny stories? We don't have to go through everyone as well, but if anyone wants to share anything.
I have one that is not mine, but it's from the Fat Man, who was my mentor when I first started, George Sanger. And he was in a session. I think they were like recording a soundtrack with live musicians, and they had like a non-music person in the room, and they finished a take, and this studio executive or whatever was like, "That's great. Can we have another take, but let's have more notes, but fewer of them?" And it's basically the greatest musical. And everyone that I ever told the story to was like, well, I can kind of see like what they were saying. It's like, it's not, it just, just let it be. It's like a Zen koan or something like that. It's like, poetry.
I feel like if you achieved that, you would have like awakened truly. Like you would have completed samsara.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I do. This is one of those the opportunities to like be productive with this panel. But we were talking about it the other day that like I kind of think that it's always on the audio person to interpret that type of feedback, and I basically think there's no bad feedback because it's like, look, it's not this person's training to like,
Right.
they didn't go to music school, right? So like they're looking for something with that request, and it is actually a really fun challenge to try to figure out, okay, more notes but fewer notes. What is that? What are they looking for? And try to like piece that puzzle together, because ultimately I feel like that's almost like half the job is being able to react to shit that makes absolutely no sense and turn that into something productive. So I would maybe try more like a higher volume of notes, like more individual notes, but using fewer tones, like pitches maybe. And I would try a few other things, variations like that, and maybe you get somewhere eventually. Maybe the client would be happy.
No, that makes sense to me. I can see, like, I guess just the interpretation of what someone who isn't in that field is trying to like. How do you bridge that gap for them? So, fair enough. More notes but fewer notes is a fair critique. You're right.
I want to piggyback off that actually, because my thing is very similar in that like if anybody's worked as a composer for someone else, they'll probably have had I saw someone else say this as well, but like when someone describes a color to be like like the worst one I got was just like it needs to be more purple, and I'm like, my dude, that is not like language. And I think that like you need to like if you're directing, it is kind of you're not classically trained or whatever to be able to like tell people exactly what notes are like right or wrong or whatever, but also at the very least you can meet people halfway. So but my worst story was when I was working for this guy who was very clearly he wanted his fingers in the pie, and I sort of like showed him some work and had Logic open, and he was just like, nice, but like how about if we just like drag this like MIDI item from the percussion back to the violins, and then he like listens to it, and I'm just like, my dude, this sounds like ass, and he goes, no man, like I'm really onto something, this is really cool. And I don't know, he probably just heard the sound of his own ego just like inflating, or like guaranteed he would have wanted like a credit as like orchestrator or like music director, but I was like, dude, nah, this is just not how you manage.
Sounds like some Philip Glass level like compositional strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Just never do that.
The cat's asking for the name drop. You're not going to do it, though.
That's so funny.
How do we get canceled?
Yeah.
Oh, give it time. Give it time.
We'll get there.
Not too much time as well. Okay, let's do one more. Eli or Angela, are any of you burning to tell a story?
I got one. It is personally an embarrassing story, but it's not technically audio related. Kind of is, because I was doing my job. But when you're like a junior and you don't really know what's going on, and you're terrified of things like source control and perforce and source control, like me, and I've done things like the usual, you check out the entire entire project, that's fine, but I did something where I like broke some file. I don't know what I did, but I like synced incorrectly, and then I submitted it, and then engineering came by and they were like, hey, maybe don't do that. Why don't you try like not specifically doing this specific thing that we think you did? And I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure I didn't do that, but okay, I won't do it. So I didn't do it again. And then I submitted again, and they were like, hey, you broke it again. And they came back to my office and they were like, hey, we told you not to do that exact thing. And I was like, I didn't do the thing. And I had to be so professional when engineering like walked in my like little junior office, and they were like, stop doing the thing that's breaking the entire game. And I was like, I'm not breaking it. I don't know how to tell you. And that was very painful and so embarrassing. I was like, I don't know how to tell you I'm not breaking the game. But they kept thinking I was guilty, and I don't know, that hurt.
What is the resolution like? Did you actually? You didn't break the thing, right?
I don't know what happened. It was I could not explain it to you. It was a weird, like, specific esoteric engineering thing.
Poltergeist. Yeah.
Maybe. But they specifically, they were like, do not right click sync to only this and then sync to only that, instead of, syncing to the whole change list. And I was like, I have not done that. So it was a very specific thing they were accusing me of. I was like, I'm innocent.
I believe
that
you.
was painful.
What the hell? That sounds so painful, actually. Yeah.
Oh, man. Ouchie.
Okay. One more, if you want, Eli.
Sure. Yeah. So, like, for my very first game audio, I had a little, like, informal chat at Develop with the person who hired me, and it was, like, pretty chill, pretty, like, bog standard. And then I was like, oh, so, like, what are the next steps? And he was just kind of like, oh yeah, I just wanted to make sure you weren't an asshole. So it just goes to show you that soft skills are important, I think.
That's fair. I love the directness of that. Just don't be a dick, dude. Like, that's all I really want.
Good life lesson.
Okay. Now we are on to the mainline questions. That was light work. Now we're gonna turn up the heat. This is actually where we ruin things for everyone and ourselves in particular. What is the correct way to game audio, and what do you do?
It's my way.
It is very... You win. Very fair. It's very common to be starting off in the industry and be bombarded with all of the correct ways that you should be doing game audio. But I want to get from you guys, what have you been told is the correct way to do game audio, and what do you do specifically? Eli, please start us off.
I mean, I don't think I've ever been told what the correct way to do game audio is, because I don't think it exists. Like, I think, like, a lot of people, I was kind of self-taught, and I've never really been good at, like, synths or anything. So my approach is, like, very, very simple, especially because I've done a lot of freelancing and they want things done, like, yesterday. So yeah, I guess, like, it's literally just careful source selection and limited processing. Like, no huge plugin chains, no outboard gear or anything fancy. That's, like, kind of it.
No, I feel that, because overprocessing is a scourge, really, and you don't really understand until, like, someone shows you that, oh, this great sound is just like 2 samples and compression or reverb or something, maybe EQing, like you said. Yeah, I feel that. John, how about you?
Sorry, I was just looking for, like, an emoji because someone was saying my skills are al dente, and I love it.
I know.
That's fair.
Objectively, the way to game audio in 2025, I said it before and I'll say it again, is whack disperser and everything and make everything a warbly soup. Like, we're probably going to get into this before, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether I should go into, like, my rant about it, but I think it's just, like, it's the hot sauce thing. You put hot sauce on everything and everything just tastes of hot sauce. Like, it's kind of cool, but I do feel like we're, like, entering the sort of realm of the Bram that was from The Dark Knight, and now all trailers sound like The Dark Knight, but just a worse interpretation of it. And I think that a lot of people are kind of just doing the sound design because that's what everybody's doing, not necessarily because that's what the game needs or wants. My biggest hot take, and go ahead and cancel me for this, but I genuinely believe that if you put, like, the sound design or even the sound effects of Jedi Survivor and was it Hogwarts Legacy together, you would have a really tough time to tell them apart. And, like, this is just my hot take. Hate me if you want, but, like, I don't know. It just doesn't vibe with me. For me personally, I'm much more like I like more sort of, like, natural sounding things where, like Eli said, put a couple of, a bit of EQ, compression, whatever tasteful, like, effects and stuff like that on good source. And then, we all got taught in music school or wherever that, shit in equals shit out. And, well, that's not entirely true in sound design, because you can use crap source, but then, like, use long signal chains to do that. But that's not my jam and not my vibe, and those aren't my kind of games. So I'm not saying that they're bad by any means, but I am saying that it's just like I really enjoy when things are kind of I don't know, they serve the greater picture rather than serving sort of like a this is the way to do game audio in 2025, therefore that's what it is. So yeah, I'll pass on the baton before I actually get myself
quick question. You have only one plugin to use for an entire project, OTT or Disperser. Which one?
Hands down OTT. Just I'd rather a compressed mess with like no dynamics.
We know where you're at. Okay.
Yeah.
That is a nasty question, actually. I love it. Seeing as you're talking, Troupe, what about you?
Sure. Mine is probably going to be different from other people because I think maybe significantly the oldest person in this group, and I started actually making music for games when I was like 11, so the late 90s, and I picked software at that time based on like what was available in Windows and what was free because I was a kid. And so my game audio doing things the wrong way is that I make all of my music to this day with a program called Renoise, which is a tracker. And it always cracks me up when people ask what software I use, because I think software is totally pointless, or meaningless. Software is not pointless.
Pointless.
But it is the conversation around software, I think, is incredibly meaningless. And when people ask like, oh, what do you use? Even if I had an answer for them that was good, I don't think it would help them. But also I think that people feel limited in some way, like, oh, I do things this certain way, so I could never, I'm not using Reaper, or I'm not using Logic, or, whatever it is. But, if you look at my music sessions, it's like, doesn't make any sense to make like jazz or orchestral music in a tracker. I don't know if like people know what that looks like. Someone should post a screenshot of Renoise in the chat if you can find it on Google Images. But it's basically a spreadsheet that like scrolls up and down, and whatever you grow up using, or whatever tools you find like when you're a kid, ultimately I think just stick with them and create the workflow that works best for you. I think it's dangerous to like get on YouTube and start watching tutorials and basically just take someone else's, yes, thank you, John, take someone else's workflow, because you basically spend a bunch of time like learning someone else's workflow when you might have a workflow that you've been using for 10 years at that point. So just embrace your inner weirdo. I do use Reaper for sound design, for recording, but I've tried to do other, to do piano roll and use other DAWs, and that's just, and yes, demo scene mods, that all that stuff like really influenced my early work, and it still does now because it gives me a different toolbox than other people have. So lean into whatever makes you unique, and great. Now you'll stand apart from other people. Everyone else is watching those same YouTube tutorials, so if you have your own thing, you're going to have a different take, a different spin than most people will.
Oh, I love that. Except for the part where you use Renoise, I think that is actually incorrect. You shouldn't be doing that.
I mean, it is objectively incorrect. I mean, but this question is to do game audio. What do you do? I didn't say what I do is correct.
Okay.
But it is very much. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get you. That was just a joke. Anyways, I want to just highlight as well. So Eli and John and myself are more specifically in the indie space. Troupe is like AAA and indie. But Angela, you have a very unique position in the fact that you've worked on quite a few AAA games. So I'm very curious, how do you interpret the correct way to do game audio, and what do you do instead?
Great question. Thank you. I don't know. It's funky. So I'm also self-taught, like I think Eli was saying. So I don't think I got the usual in 2025 question mark, where like you go to school, people tell you this, do that, sort of found my own way into things. So maybe I'm a little biased there. But there are some things like, I don't know, man, Troupe Troupe said everything. I'm just say, damn it. But
Are you making sounds and re-noise? What are you doing?
No. It's like you do it how you want to do it, and then the way you'll just, you'll make the way happen. Does that make sense? Like people always say, like, you got to get Reaper, you got to teach yourself this, you got to teach yourself that, and then job, and then prosper or whatever. And it's like the path is not straight. The path is whatever path you're walking, and then someday maybe you'll get to where you want to go, but it's gonna go like this. So might as well just do whatever you want along the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no.
Yeah,
no,
I
totally, that makes sense to me as well. Because one thing I've noticed, I have a few AAA, maybe not friends, but like I know them and we speak on occasion. And watching their journeys from like what they've been trying to do to get into AAA isn't even like clear cut. Like it is pretty much the Wild West most of the time. Maybe the only direct thing is that there's like application processes, but everyone is still like trying to learn by themselves, and it's more what you can show up with when you show up to the job, rather than like, I don't know, I went specifically to school or I've learned these specific techniques and everything.
And like Eli was mentioning soft skills before, like I think that's something that's not only AAA, but also does come into, like, if you're trying to get jobs in the AAA scene, is just knowing people, being a person that people like to know and like to talk to, because the more people you know, the more connections you have, and companies and people like hiring the people that they know that they can trust and they can like. So like that's I guess how to do it is know people, make friends.
Yeah, I feel that. That's like
Be yourself.
Tried and true method.
Be a goblin.
Myself, yeah, just be a goblin. I mean, I'm doing it all the way from SA, so you just gotta approach people, be visible, do cool shit. Next question. I'm sure everyone's heard of the pyramid of working, where it's like you want to make sure that each of your projects is like good paying, has good people, or is an idea that you really love. Let's ignore the financial stability of things. I want to ask specifically, how do people value game projects or game teams as a ideal for you in the industry? And let's reverse order. Angela, what do you think?
I think it would be super cool if Eli answered this one first.
Yeah, I don't know why I said Angela. You must have been afflicted by some disease.
Chill.
Or some psychosis of the mind. Eli, what do you think?
I don't know, actually. I don't think I've ever worked with the same team like twice.
We did 2 projects together, so I guess I didn't.
Yeah, but like not like the same like whole team, dude. But like, I mean, I guess iGame Audio like counts to a degree, but at the same time wasn't with like the same devs, so kind of doesn't count in some ways. But I feel like there should be more emphasis on like team building, because I feel like if you learn how to make a good game together, like once, you can just do it again and again and again. I mean, obviously, like there are a lot of unknowns with any project, but I think like having the emphasis on the project and like having like a new team every time just leads to a lot of like teething problems in the beginning, like over and over and over again. So it's never smooth sailing, but I think that the team is very important, because like the most important thing in game development for me is like communication. Like if you can't talk to each other, then you're not going to make a good game. So yeah, that's my take, I guess.
Okay, no, that makes a lot of sense. John, do you think there's an argument to be made for aiming for specific high prestige projects over like a team that you want to work for specifically?
That's a weirdly specific question that actually kind of it's like very good for me. I'm not gonna say names because I don't want to get cancelled, but yeah, I'm doing a good job of it so far. Yeah, but honestly, like in the experience that I've had, I've stuck around for some projects that I thought were like, well, this is going to win me the BAFTA or this is going to win me the whatever. But then, as it turns out, like I genuinely believe, like I haven't won a BAFTA yet, and I think, you know, like maybe one day that would be cool. But I'd much rather win it for something that's like I had a good time, and I'd love the face to be staring at me while I sleep, to like be a memory or a memento of like a good time, rather than I crunched for like 10 years on some shit project because you know, I wanted some like arguable paperweight that's just kind of like the embodiment of my bad time. So yeah, that's probably a very like harsh way of putting. I think teams are where it's at. I've like read a lot of kind of accounts of people, whether they're like Olympic athletes or they're award winners or whatever, and they'll all say the same thing. It's like once you reach the peak, like it lasts for a little while, that sort of buzz of like, oh damn, you know, I've peaked. This is like the end game, you know. And then they'll all say the same thing, which is just like, oh well shit, actually, you know what, like I just want to spend my time with cool people doing kind of cool things, but like the people is the thing that makes life worth it. Because, you know, if you're crunching to work on GTA 6 or something like that may or may not come out, or like Concord that you don't even know if it's going to flop, and you come out of that and you're just like, well, I didn't get the reward that I was hoping for, and I worked with a shit team who just completely abused me, then you like, what's is that point? Living? That just seems crap, right? So yeah, that's my hot take.
No, I feel that, and let me double down with you, especially on like the BAFTA thing, because man, there's no way to say this without sounding like a prick, but like me and Eli, there we go. Me and Eli both have BAFTAs. For
That's
Zao,
not true.
But
the team has a BAFTA.
Can you hold up your
the
BAFTA?
team won a BAFTA. Zao, Tales of Kinzera. But personally, I'm not from the UK, so the prestige of the award, and given my limited time, doesn't actually feel as big or grand as like someone like the head studio head, Abu Bakr Salim, like winning it, you know. It's like cool and nice and everything, but it doesn't overall have the same kind of impact that I would have, or that I now cherish, with working with people that I enjoy working with, who can like go through the trenches of trying to see a game to completion despite producers telling you that like we've changed the game objects in the game and like we need to have like new audio and stuff, and it's like, well, that's not going to work a week, you know, but at least I can do it with my friend and like we can figure it out. Or just people who are sympathetic to the craft of audio, and it's not just something that comes in the end. It's not something that specifically has to happen in the beginning, but we have a mutual understanding that this is an art form that like can go as far as we allow it to. So no, I feel that. Anyone else want to add something to this, or we good?
Yeah, I think you guys are all wrong.
Cool, thank you.
No, I actually have like sort of I think, you know, everyone has very reasonable takes. I happen to have kind of a different take, which is that I actually think most game studios shouldn't exist. As
just stop it there, clip it there, dude.
Cool, all right, so moving on. As perennial studios that sort of exist to like give people an illusion of stability and also give an illusion of like some sort of like progress. You know, oh, we're like Sledgehammer or whatever, we're getting better every time at making games. We're making bigger and better games. Obviously that does happen. Like you have like CD Projekt Red sort of just making The Witcher over and over again, and it's just like a better version of The Witcher each time. But I think a lot of times at studios that I've been involved with, it's like they get together to make a game, and the studio is sort of built to make that game. And then they're like, well, great, we got to make a bigger game now. We got to like, we can't just do the same thing. We got to like push forward and basically make a game that the team isn't qualified to make, because the team was qualified and assembled to make that game. But now you're taking those people and trying to make a different game. And I think it creates a lot of chaos, you know, in terms of development. And I think it also, the sort of, you know, when you have people like moving around the country, you know, especially with all the layoffs recently, you had stories of people like moving to Seattle and then the studio just closes like 2 weeks later. And you have this idea of like, I want to find stability. I want to get a team and have stability. But if your entire livelihood and your creative process is wrapped up in this one studio and you're committed for 10 years or, 15 years or even 5 years, all it takes is like some embracer group to come in, buy something gets spun off, you have a hit game and the studio gets shuttered or you get laid off. So personally, I think that the model for especially indie games should be much more about like people who have a vision and are excited about a game idea, coming together, making that game, and then at the end of that, having no expectation that like this studio is now going to make another game and all these people have to be in the exact same place in their lives. They have to have the same time commitment. They have to do the same role they did before. I think that totally can work, but I think more studios should embrace a sort of come together for the project, make this thing. Maybe you collaborate with like 60% of the same people the next thing, or even 90%. But I think that all that should be a decision that's made kind of together each time to sort of check in, because I just think it creates a lot of chaos when there's this sort of commitment to like using the concept artists who are employed at the studio every single day, all the time. So we've got to have 3 projects in the pipeline. We got to start the next thing now. It just is logistically, it creates a lot of mess. So, finding your people is absolutely great. But I think for me personally right now, it's like, I just want to be involved in a series of great projects. And I don't know how that would make sense for that to be a single team unless me and all those people were completely aligned, and games are just, it's too many people to get on the same page. You can have a band of 3. It's hard to make a lot of games with that small number of people. So that's where I'm feeling right now.
Yeah. I actually low-key agree. Or rather, I have a similar kind of perspective, but maybe just framed a bit differently. And I'll keep this short so we can move on to the next one, in the way that it is a lot easier to see successful games from teams who are purposefully built to make that specific game, rather than like always moving between projects. And those projects don't align with the skill set or the interests of those people. And maybe the best example is Supergiant with Hades and Bastion and Transistor. They all have a through line between all of the devs that continue to work there, and what kind of style or type of game they try to make, all a bit of narrative, similar, like not super complex gameplay mechanics, but solid game loops, that type of thing. So
yeah, that's the best. I think that's the best example of a studio that is actually just, they operate like a band, where they're like, what's our next album going to be? And they kind of all have to align and create that thing together. That's so rare. That's basically what you should aspire to. But in that process, don't get bogged down by being like, oh, we're a team. We have to make a game. What game are we make? I don't know. And then half the team is like, this game sucks. I hate this. This asshole is like shitty like emo album or whatever, that we like, none of us are interested in. It's I think basically Supergiant is like the kind of perfect blend of everything, but there's really only one Supergiant, honestly. There's not really any other studios that I consider at that sort of same level of consistency.
That's fair.
Sorry to interject, but before we move on, people in the chat are requesting that when we chat about stuff, like rather if there isn't like anything particularly interesting on the slides, if we can just show our faces in big, so like stop.
I can do that.
Yeah, I think that'll probably be quite good.
How do I do that? And get
sharing screen, and then we'll get big.
For the videos where we get canceled, there'll be like a nice image of our face saying the cancelable take.
Yeah,
is that it? Did I do the thing?
No.
You need to stop streaming, I think.
Okay.
You can also just leave the call if you want.
We'll just talk for the next 12 minutes.
Yeah,
there's enough like what do you call it, like evidence to cancel us now. I think our job here is done.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fair. Cool. Apologies, I don't know that functionality. Maybe I'll try and figure out while we're talking. But yeah, our next question is gear/software sluts to be shamed or to be saved. Angela, do you want to start us off this time, or?
Yes, I think slut shaming is for the weak of soul. Let people like what they like. Let them spend their money where they want to spend it. But as soon as people get like evangelizing about it, if someone starts telling me that I need to buy a hardware synth, I'm like, I'm leaving this conversation. That simply is not going to happen. But like, let people do what they want to do. Yeah. And then if they find some cool plugin that's not hardware, then they can tell me about it. We don't slame the sluts in this house. We don't shame the sluts in this house.
Tongue twister.
Eli, I have a strong feeling you might feel differently.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm shaming everyone. I definitely don't do it. Therefore, everyone else is wrong. No. I mean, for me personally, I think it's like cool if you have like a very specific process that requires like a lot of experimentation with like different kinds of gear and things. But I don't think that there should be like an emphasis on spending money to make you a better sound designer, which I think some people believe is true. Like I think it just like if you're going to buy a bunch of stuff, like think of it as an investment in your career and in your like skill set and tool belt. And then make sure that you go out of your way to learn how to use it, because so many people just like buy stuff, then it just ends up in the back of the closet, and then you've just like spent all that money for no reason. But
no, dude, but it's totally worth it. You don't understand. Like it's gonna come in clutch.
Yeah, one day. Yeah, like I don't think that there's anything that you could buy that would just like disperser that would just like make everything sound like super cool all the time, you know. So yeah, I think like if you're buying gear without intent, you should be shamed. That's my take.
Whoa.
Love it.
Wait, but here's the thing. So you make friends. You've got friends who are the gear sluts, and then they tell you, because they're the ones spending the money, they're like, hey, this plugin's not worth it. And you're like, thank God I didn't spend $50 on that, you know?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's what we have Ulysses for, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a big rant on sub enhancer plugins on like our Discord server. It took me like a whole day to like go through everything and be like, these are the results that I found, everyone. This one is worthless and this one is the best. Actually, no, wait, I was wrong. This one is worthless and this other one I found is the best. I almost spent like $250 or something. So I saved everyone that money. I don't even know if you guys... Oh, okay, sick.
I super appreciated that. I wrote down that stuff. I was like, hell yeah, I'm not buying that plugin.
I think my takeaway from that was like, just keep using RBase, which I've been using for like 20 years.
No.
You have to deal with Waves plugins.
Damn it, that's what we're trying to get away from. Yeah, Troupe is always a funny person to talk to with plugins because he has some like batshit insane like tools from like nowhere.
I mean, yeah, the demo
they like, don't work, or they're like the best thing ever, you know?
I literally have plugins that are like the DLL I downloaded in like 2003 that I've just copy pasted to every computer, and it's like it doesn't exist on the internet anymore. It's just like, yeah, I mean, whatever, this is the best shit ever. That's how you get that unique sound.
That's fair.
Hell yeah.
I mean, yeah, use whatever you want, but like, please don't shame us, bro. We're trying to be useful, or at least I am, as a slut in this community. Is the tile thing fixed? Like, did I do it right?
No.
Greg says you can press on the share screen button at the bottom and then stop sharing.
Like so.
John!
Oh my god.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, maybe can you put our faces on the left or whatever that was again? Because I think it's like highlighting our faces now.
Like that?
I think that's just how it works, right? Whenever we talk.
Oh, yeah.
But I worked so hard on these slides that are just fucking text. It's okay. All right, the next question is making room for negative feelings and authenticity in your regular life and career. John, how about you start us off?
Yeah, for sure. Jump scare, you can see my face again.
Gallery mode is what Greg was saying. Maybe you can do that.
Gallery mode?
Gallery mode.
like that.
Yeah,
Dude, that's good. Oh, but now we're
amazing.
swapping around all the time.
Oh, God.
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes. If not, we just get up the beautiful slides again. Yeah, well, to be honest, like I've actually got a talk at AirCon on Thursday about this topic, about authenticity and about well-being and all that sort of stuff. So come to Creative on Demand. But
it's going to be so much better than what we've established here. So please.
I will uncancel myself.
That talk due to your commentary at this one, right?
Yeah. Oh no. Well,
I've got an order team wrote and called in and said it's canceled.
I'll just like blackmail Greg and Lewis to not take me off the roster. It's all good. Anyway, yes. The thing that I wanted to say about this, so making room for negative feelings, authenticity in your regular life and your career. First of all, I would say that like if you can afford therapy, get some, because like I'm not saying that everybody's like fucked up, but like inherently your parents will fuck you up. Certain situations will fuck you up. And like, it's good to deal with that stuff, not necessarily just like for your career, although I'm sure there will be benefits, but also just for you as a person, so that you're not like going to some big games event like GDC and then just offloading your like, I don't know, daddy issues to your, to just random people that you meet. Like, I think that it's still very good. There's a lot to be gained from that. Why would you not want to be happier and deal with your demons rather than sort of like carrying around stuff? That like the other thing as well is that like the world might revolve around money, but like your happiness sure as hell doesn't. Like money is kind of, there's like an inverse correlation of like, you know, the more or less money you have, the less happy you become. And it's like, I don't know. I don't really understand what the point of doing this, like all of this, in terms of living or like doing like your audio career and whatever, unless you're like actually being authentic to yourself. Like, why would you want to go and put on some like persona? All right, sure, if you're like becoming someone like Deadmau5, then cool, it is a persona, it's an act and stuff. But it's like, I do think that there's an element of authenticity in that, of someone wants to like put on a big helmet and that's the way that they're a freak or a goblin or whatever. But I think that it's like, if you're not being authentic to yourself and you're just doing stuff because you know, because people tell you that this is the way that it should be, and you're sort of just like following in people's footsteps and never really sort of like challenging anything or being curious or whatever, then like, what's the point? But the other thing as well is that like negative feelings are kind of the balance of like all the positive feelings as well. You know, you're going to have crap days. So like, you kind of like, if you kind of just deny them or you try to run away from them, it's only really going to sort of bite you in the ass later on. So like, why not sort of embrace the highs and the lows, but try to sort of like keep them, sort of like normalize them a little bit and make it so that you're not like living this huge roller coaster of emotions. And again, go to therapy, sort some stuff out, and then yeah, you know, just like have a more moderate and sustainable career in life. And also, your career isn't your life. You know, there's like a whole life to be lived outside of your career as well. So yeah.
No, expertly said. I legit can't wait for this talk if you're going to speak on that in further detail. Yeah, does anyone want to add on to that?
Yeah, I'll piggyback a little bit just to say extra things on top of the cool things John just said. But to emphasize, I want to emphasize the importance of finding people that you can talk specifically about like job related, you know, feedback or stress or whatever those topics. Because I was self-taught. I didn't go to school for this. I had to sort of find my own communities, and it took a while for me to find the audio communities, the game audio communities. So I remember a specific point in my journey where I just didn't have anyone to talk to about these things. Like, I had friends, but they were not audio friends. They were not game friends. And finding those communities, whether it's on Discord or like, you know, going to GDC or finding people locally, whatever, like finding those people that I can just like be like, hey, somebody gave me this note and it's really like frustrating and I can't parse it, and just someone to respond with, dude, I hate that so much. Like, I hate when that happens. It's just, there's something really important about that, and having that sort of a feedback and someone to go to, you know, as well as therapists and people like that. So I want to emphasize finding those communities and using them well.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. And this is almost going to like feed into the next slide that we have to discuss. But I think it's also just very okay to feel bad about, like, I don't know, someone says like your work isn't up to par. You should feel that instead of like suppressing it down, you know, like explore that feeling instead of trying to convince yourself that you're not doing bad. I think that goes a lot towards people's like unhealthy mental states when like you don't acknowledge that like this is bugging me for these reasons and you can't express it to anyone. So like, yeah, the endless positivity that you might encounter anywhere in the world isn't actually like useful to you. It's better rather to keep the clarity on how you're feeling. I kind of want to move on to the next question, but Troupe and Eli, do you want to say anything? You are muted, sir.
All right. Do we have 1 minute left in this talk, or are we allowed to go over time?
We are allowed to go over by like 20 minutes, I believe.
Fuck yeah. Okay. I think yeah, what everyone said is really valuable, and honestly, like it's been something that I've like. It's really easy when you're having problems like at a studio because it's all external and you're sort of like, you know, oh, fuck them, they don't know what they're talking about. You know, it's like obviously I'm right, or me and this person are right, and we're against these people. I think it's really difficult when it's just you, and it's like I'm just not feeling up to par, and there is no feedback that's coming in. It's like my own feedback that I'm just giving myself. And I think one of the things that I've been finding recently is because I've been doing a lot of like mixing, which I'm not particularly great at, and sort of just going into, I've just been crunching for a long time. I'm kind of burned out. I found that like the diminishing returns are so great when I'm kind of running up against that wall. And as soon as I leave, I just had a baby last year. And so we'll like, go and take the baby for a walk. And the minute I walk out the door, I'm like, life's so good. Wow. But I feel absolutely miserable until that moment. And I think what I'm going to try to do more often is basically like spend an hour, spend 2 hours. And if I'm starting to get into that sort of feedback loop, to just like engage in the real world, and particularly not just like, oh, I'm going to take a break and like play FIFA or something, but actually like go into the actual planet Earth that exists, because it is such an isolating job, and especially audio. You know, you can't really even be around people because you're making noise, or they're making noise, or whatever. And so you're really just kind of like in this space that can get really. It can basically be like a battle with yourself, essentially, and your ears and everything else. So I think trying to like literally touch grass or literally smell the roses, like literally go outside and sort of, you know, give your ears like that break, and give your mind that break. Take it a little bit easier on yourself. I think is good. This is advice basically I'm trying to give to myself. So if I'm not, this is pretty. I would say I have not been doing an excellent job of this lately, because I just went back to work after kind of taking some paternity leave time, and it's like, oh shit, this is hard, you know.
Yeah, no, exactly. And also just to like clarify, the advice isn't specifically like, hey, you should feel shit about yourself, but it's like, you know, be cognizant of how you're feeling, and then like take steps and actions to validate or get yourself back on a better path, which is always a struggle. Yeah, I asked Troupe for some advice on something that I thought in the moment I was really heated about, because I was like, this fucking, how dare they say this? I'm the best there ever is. How dare you? And like I said it to Troupe, and he was like, yeah, this is kind of fair. And I was like, damn it, dude. Damn it. And, you know, it's fine, because we had that back and forth, or at least I wasn't in an isolation chamber of, I don't feel like I'm being heard on like the things that I'm like trying to put across. And Troupe can then like engage, or like anyone I can approach to be like, how is this coming across? And be like, oh, you're getting these things right, but I think you could like look at these things as well. So, you know, I can feel bad, but it's like I still have people to share that feeling with. So, yes. The next question. You're missing my beautiful slides, but should you be a big hater or a big liker? And I have Dio Brando on the left, and I forget.
You can share it for just a second.
No,
yeah.
I like questions.
Why would I do that?
Just the audio description.
There we go.
Yes, here we go.
Yeah, should you be a big hater or a big liker? We're gonna start off. I'm just gonna split our panel in two. John and Angela are big likers. Troupe and Eli are big haters. So, do we have any opening statements for the various corners?
I want to go. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that being a hater is necessary in life. Okay, not all the time. Not all the time. Like, you want to be liked by the people you work with. You want to like have a good rapport with people. But if you're a liker all the time, it's unhelpful. Okay, like especially going back to like the feedback point. You know, if you're a liker and like people are posting things to you for feedback and you're like, this is the best thing I've ever heard in my life, like all the time, that's unhelpful. And if that's true, you've got a low bar. Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You have to be a hater in order to help people. All right. In the long term, they will thank you for it. There is a right way to say things, obviously. But sometimes you need to have hard conversations, you know, and people need to hear things that they don't want to hear. But in the end, it is beneficial for everyone. And that's my take. And I can give you an example of something that happened to me, right? Like when I was at uni, I wasn't doing great, okay? Like I was in my 3rd year and I was having a bad time. Like I kind of like fell out of love with everything audio and I didn't really know what to do. And then my course leader sat me down and he was like, you're not going to cut it. And it was like a hard conversation to have, but he was right, dude. He was right. Because then I took a year out and I went away to think about what I wanted to do. And then I came back and I found game audio, right? So without that very terrible conversation, I wouldn't be here. And he was a hater. He hated me. But it helped me.
Man. Give me his address. I'm pulling up.
But no, I think it's useful, man. That's my take.
No, that's fair. That's a pretty strong opening take stance. How does the other side approach?
I want to fight the other corner, and I agree with everything you're saying, by the way, but also you're fucking wrong. I'm joking. No, my stance on it is that, and we'll probably talk a little bit about like feedback and stuff later, but like my stance is that there is enough hate in the world, and if you go on YouTube, you just feel shit. Like, although at the same time, my partner goes on YouTube, and somehow the content that she's watching is like full of really nice comments. Like, what am I watching? Where all of these dickheads like posting in the comments, just making each other miserable and trolling and stuff. But like,
you're secretly a hater. I'm sorry, you've outed yourself. Like.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, well, these questions are really polarizing, so I kind of have to like rein it in and just be like, no, I'm a big liker. But actually, the like my genuine feeling are that like I don't think you're helping anyone by being like, you know, somebody's just come onto Airwiggles and they're like, this is my first showreel, and then you go on and go, fuck you, you're never gonna get a job. This is shit. And I think that it's like, okay, right, someone might argue that it's like, oh yeah, but they just need to get good, otherwise they're not going to get a job. And I think one of the nice things about Airwiggles and arguably LinkedIn, as crap as LinkedIn is, like people are very sort of clap emoji, congratulations, good job. Like I do think that it's like it serves a purpose. Whereas going on Twitter, I just like sort of dry heaving at all of the like comments that people are posting, just being like, nice thing that you made, but also it sucks and you should just get a life, and also something racially inappropriate, you know, like it just like quickly devolves into just like people just being assholes because they have no accountability. Like very few people in the world would do that in person, but for some reason there's like a free pass to do that online because there's no policing it. And you know, like I think if people showed their Twitter like hater comments to like their mothers would have something hella like strong to say about it, you know, and make them stand in a corner or sit on the steps. So yeah, I think there's like, if we're going to choose one or the other, I'd rather live in a world where people are actually being kind of like nice to each other rather than just being assholes. But I also agree with what you're saying, Eli, is that it's like, yeah, of course, you're not helping anyone by giving them platitudes by any means. students by just being like, oh no, don't worry, you're not going to pass, but you know, that kind of sucks. So yeah,
that's fair. I don't want to speak on this at all. I'm like firmly in the middle, as is my role as the moderator, unfortunately.
You know, you want some more.
I mean, I could.
I'll go. I'll sort of pick a different angle, since I think Eli really nailed the sort of being a hater when it comes to like giving feedback, like being critical, like to help other people. Mine is sort of like being a hater. I actually wouldn't recommend it because it makes life sort of miserable. But I do think that the only way to really make stuff that's great is to hate everything else. It's sort of like sculpture, where it's like, you know, oh, I like removed all the rock until it was David, right? It's like, if you just like everything, think about like music or games or film. If you're like, I love everything. I love, you know, Miyazaki. I love George Lucas. I'm a huge fan of like Sofia Coppola, like that movie. That's too many things, right? Like that you can't make something that is just like all of those things combined. I think a lot of times games, people are like too much into what they like and not enough into why everyone else is fucking up and like what opportunities are being missed basically by everyone else. So my like personal journey where I'm at is, unfortunately, most of the stuff in the world I hate. It's just sad, the sad reality too, you know, right? It's like I play stuff and I'm like, this fucking sucks. Like there's so many games that I play like 10 minutes. And I'm like, they didn't put UI sounds in the fucking opening menu. Like turn this up, like, oh, it's a 9 out of 10. I love this game. And it's like, shit's fucking busted, man. Look at this, like the VFX, like, and the first level, like they couldn't put the attention to detail. But it's not because I'm like, they suck or what. It's just like, I'm so distracted by things that stand out to me in any way that I can only engage with stuff where I'm like, wow, they sort of didn't do anything wrong. Like it's basically, how long can I go before something kind of pops out at me? But what that ends up doing is like, I just have this huge list of all the things that I want to avoid when I'm making my art. So when it comes to actually creating stuff, I'm basically like, I've honed this like tiny little section of all the things that I don't want to do. This is all that's left. And I think that's the type of art that's really special a lot of the times, is the stuff that people are like, I'm so mad that this doesn't exist. Like everyone else is fucking using disperser and everything. Like so annoying. Like I just have to do my thing where like it sounds like nothing else, like no other game that's ever existed. Suddenly, then that's the stuff that really like inspires people. So I think, unfortunately, I genuinely think it makes your life a lot worse. Like my life is objectively the worst it's ever been when it comes to like enjoying art. My wife works in film. She can't watch any movies. I can't play any video games. I gave up listening to music a long time ago. All I can do is listen to soccer podcasts because like, you know, I can't hate anything about that. But I think it does elevate your own work so that the sort of haterdom that you can give to other people, you know, you can also apply to other things and improve your own work, I think, over time as well. But I don't recommend it.
I'm fucking struggling, Troupe. I have to tell you, man.
I like that take. I enjoy Troupe's words. I do not find myself to be a big hater or a big liker. That seems like painting with the widest brush possible. I like the things I like and I hate the things I hate. And personally, my stance is that I'm not a hater, I'm not a liker. I just have strong feelings about things. And that's the important part, is to like form an opinion and then you stick to that opinion, you know? So it's like, I'm really picky about movies. I got opinions on them, but that, like Troupe was saying, that influences your art and your style and everything. I'm not saying I'm a hater. I'm just saying, I don't know. I'm picky. I got opinions, but I think that's the cool thing. I don't know. Having opinions, being passionate. I did like that Troupe said haterdom, though. That was a good state of being.
Did I coin that? Is that a thing that exists in the world? I don't know. Haterdom?
It exists now, thanks to you.
That'll be on next year's talk. Is all about how hating to get to a better end result.
I'll attend.
I would honestly take all of everything everyone said and just like make that my creed, because that was all beautiful, well said, well constructed, all useful. And I think essentially at the end of the day, we should not be afraid to like dislike things, but we should also be encouraging and supportive of like game ideas. So yeah, tell people their games are awesome, but you know, you don't have to fully believe it, maybe.
What? What?
I don't know. I'm actually struggling to find the through line.
Just lie to people. It's cool. Whatever.
Just lie to people. That makes sense. No. More seriously, just like have your own tastes, and I guess know that they are your tastes. You know, they push you to make specific kind of products, but not everything that comes out is gold as well. You know, yeah, okay.
Should we
we need to wrap up.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go on to the personal takes part, and this is essentially where I ask each panelist very specific questions, and they have the floor to say whatever they want. We're gonna start with Troupe. What is something that you hope for at your experience level in your career or for the environments you find yourself in?
I mean, honestly, I want to take a bigger role in development and basically use the lessons that I've learned from being involved in audio. Because I think, especially as an audio lead or audio director, you basically are touching everything in games. And, you know, like you care about environments, you care about animations, you care about design, you care about narrative, you know, VFX, like literally every part of the pipeline you're sort of touching at some point, engineering, optimization. And I think there's a sort of lack of representation of audio people at like directorial level. I mean, we've talked about it before. And so my objective is basically to be involved more like at a director level. I think more audio people should be listened to, because I think a lot of times audio people actually have the most complete vision of a game, or the most complete objective vision of a game, because directors have sort of what the game should be like in their mind, and each other discipline is very much siloed, like working on their thing. But audio people are like, this is what the game is. Like, I've just worked on every character, I've worked on every level, I am seeing what everyone else is doing in terms of their production schedule. We're behind, the game's not as fun as it should be, this level is inconsistent with this level. And I feel like we have a lot more to offer than we are typically asked for. So yeah, my goal is basically just, you know, I'm really proud of the stuff that I've worked on in audio. Obviously, I'm going to keep working in audio, but I want to be more involved, and I think more audio people should be more involved in leading projects, or, you know, producing, directing, co-directing, being involved in the sort of higher level of games.
Okay, nice. Angela, give us a rundown of your definition of the importance of aesthetic value in your work life, i.e., should things look pretty in audio?
No, everything should be ugly. I love ugly things. This question, I think we were talking about like people prioritizing having the perfect studio, and that can sometimes turn into like a box, you know, like no light or whatever, no decorations, but like making the space that you're going to be in every single day a place that you want to be in is really good, especially for like your mental health and everything. Sort of ties into what we were talking about before a little bit, but also like embrace the ugly. I don't know. That's it.
Yeah, I can see arguments for both. If you're going to be spending so much time in a space, you might as well make it as comfortable as possible. You know, it's like, why would you buy a shit bed? Like, get a good bed so that you don't mess up your back, have future problems down the line. Don't put yourself in a cement box to make audio, because it will depress you over time. You know, it'll probably affect your work as well. So it is very practical advice, I feel. But then also, I guess, like, if you use plugins that don't have the most graphical user interface, that's fine as well. If it works and it serves its purpose, then Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That makes
Oh
sense.
yeah. Those like Reaper inbuilt plugins with absolutely no GUI, that's the good shit.
Hey man, it does its job. Cool. John, what is important to you about games that don't glorify violence as a sound designer?
Good question. Yeah, I feel quite strongly about this. There was a debate, God, I can't remember how many years ago, but I think it was around the time where The Last of Us was like getting really big. And I think that like the debate is essentially is like, should we be selling games based on violence and gore and all this sort of stuff? Now, don't get me wrong, I really like some forms of horror, and obviously objectively one of the best parts of like sound design is when you get to freeze a bunch of vegetables and stuff and sort of like crack them and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's great, it's really cool, provided you're actually eating that stuff and not wasting it, because like this is a luxury that we're able to do in this day and age. If you go back to the Middle Ages and you're there like cracking a bunch of like vegetables and stuff like that, yeah, I don't know, that's like, people would look at you funny. But I think that there's so much violence in the world already. All you need to do is go on like social media or on like any mainstream news site, and it's X person's been murdered for some horrible like crime for xenophobia or whatever. Like, there's so much of this already, and I just don't feel like we need to be fueling the like trash fire that's already kind of like present. And of course, there is a place for horror games. There is a place for like, you know, shooters and stuff. I just find it like really disturbing the fact that like Fortnite is a fantastic game. It is one of the biggest games in the world. Kids play this who are like 4 years old. They're shooting people with sniper rifles and arguably have more knowledge about guns than probably me. And like, I kind of find that really fucked up. And yeah, I don't know, I think it's like, it's cool. There's also, we've chatted about this before, there's a video game donkey episode on YouTube that is very worth watching, and there's like this sort of punchline that's like, all of the new games that are coming out in 2025 are like, you know, samurais and people with swords, but they're women now, and like that's okay, because like now that there are women, it's okay for there to be violence and for these things to be like marketed to everyone, even though the core game is sort of marketed towards like it's essentially marketed to teenage boys. Like, we still haven't moved past that from the 80s and 90s. And I think that like if I ask most of the non-cis men in my life what kind of games they play, in general, I'm not saying that this is everybody, but just in general in my life, I find that most people will say Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley, like any of these sort of like wholesome games. They're like really big. And it's not always just Assassin's Creed and Murder Simulator 9000. Like, I think that it's just like, yeah, there's a lot more of that in the world that I see than I would like to see as a person who strives for more wholesome kind of like hippie values of, you know, why can't we just like grow a farm in our free time, rather than just like finding new and creative ways to murder someone brutally and watch all the gore and stuff, you know? So quite a long.
Yeah. No, I get you. Apologies to like cut you off, but I do want to get Eli as the last question, just because we have run out of time.
Sure.
You're supposed to go first, Eli. That's my apologies. I don't know why I skipped the slide. What is one revelation you've had about game development moving between so many different projects in your career thus far?
Basically what you did. I think.
Sorry, I didn't hear that properly.
I think communication and visibility are like the most important thing for just like creating a successful project, especially when it comes to audio, because audio aren't involved in a lot of important conversations sometimes, and like I think there needs to be more of a push for audio to like be in the room all the time, because like Troupe's saying, like we have a lot more to offer, but like yeah, communication is key if you want to make like a good feature, or if you want to make a good project that you feel like proud about in the end. Like, you have to be involved in the conversations, and you have to like put your stamp on things, I think.
Right. Okay, excellent point. Thank you for that. And with that, everyone, we are going to sign off. Thank you all for embracing this very strange idea. But yeah, I was going to have a closing question being like, our panel's a waste of time, low key. And everyone
You've proven that they are not a waste of time.
I think we've
Oh.
proven that it is. Sorry,
There
for
may
wasting
be
your
a
time,
waste
guys.
of time.
Maybe. I've appreciated getting this all together. Yeah, Greg and Lewis were very happy to accommodate having this many guests and everything. And it is important for me, at the very least, to like gather people in the space and talk about our craft in a way that isn't just affirming things that we all already know or have discovered, trying to create a space for discussion in a way that contradicts or provides alternate opinions, but in a way that is still respectful and constructive and supportive of each other. So thank you all for joining me as panelists. Thank you to the chat for showing up and everything. And we hope you have a good AirCon. See y'all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.